Hello, I'm Sandy Huber, and I'm a deacon in ministry with All in Community at Powell United Methodist Church. Powell United Methodist Church is a large congregation located just north of Columbus in an affluent county. It was about 6 years ago that we started become involved in justice-related ministries. And it happened because the husband of one of the members of our congregation, Heidi McDowell, was arrested and sentenced to prison. And Heidi came to Senior Pastor Larry Brown and I to share her journey. And of course, we really wanted to walk alongside her and support her in this journey. But Heidi was called to much more than that. Heidi felt called to share her story in a broader way and in a way that would engage other people and be a gift for other people who were involved in justice-related issues. So it wasn't too long into this journey that Heidi and I became aware of the opportunity to be involved in a Healing Communities workshop, and we jumped at that opportunity. We really had no idea at the time, but looking back, we can see that this was a first step in one of our very best practices, which is equipping as we engage, not being afraid to jump into the complexity of it all. This best practice continues to guide us, equipping as we engage and not being afraid of the complexity of it all. Because right now, our All-in Community team, which has become much more formalized over time, feels called to be involved in advocacy and policy reform. And once again, we are starting by educating ourselves as we try to move forward in engagement, not being afraid of the complexity of it all. Our second best practice is listening to the Spirit and responding to the Spirit's call. We have prayed and we have listened. And Jenny Eby, a member of our team, is here to talk to us about how she experiences that.
As Sandy mentions, PUMC All-in Community Team's second best practice is to listen to the Spirit and respond to the Spirit's call. In a team environment, listening to the Spirit takes time and open communication. We meet regularly, sometimes with special guest speakers. All members and speakers bring to the table opportunities they have been made aware of or issues they feel our community can help resolve. We discuss in detail all options to determine where our efforts and time can have the most impact. After meaningful conversation and sharing our personal experiences, we open it up to the Spirit through our prayers. We then delegate, divide, and conquer to respond to the re-entry ministry needs. It is a team like no other I've been a part of, and I'm honored to be included.
Prayer is a very important part of our work, as Jenny mentioned. And it's part of our discernment of what our next steps is. But sometimes it also feels like the Spirit just sort of nudges us to go forward. And in the midst of all of this, we experience our third practice, which is being comfortable with the discomfort. So Hannah Ewald, who is the coordinator of social justice ministries at Powell United Methodist Church, will talk with us about how we have lived into being comfortable with the discomfort.
Being comfortable in the discomfort. This is something that PUMC's All-in Community team has grown to implement in our mission and how we function as the hands and feet of Christ in the world. As we learn more about each other on our team and about reentry ministry, we acknowledge that being uncomfortable is not necessarily a bad thing. We may experience discomfort when we are learning about something new, like policy reform or advocacy. Or maybe we experience discomfort when we're doing something that we've never done before or we have limited knowledge of. This is also a great time for us to lean in on our local partners, something that Diane will talk to us about in the next best practice. Being comfortable in the discomfort affirms the work and movement of the Spirit within us. Even though we're walking into uncharted territories, we know that we're not alone. God is with us.
Justice-related ministries are complicated and messy. Having Diane Bricker, our county's reentry coordinator, as a member of our team has been a huge help to us. She has guided us in establishing reentry ministries and practices. Her relationship with us and our work illustrates our fourth best practice: authenticate the issue at hand. Be diligent in picking good local partners.
I feel that it is important to authenticate the issue at hand and be diligent in picking good local partners. Powell United Methodist Church has been great to work with. They've helped us embrace the community with their willingness to see the need and take action. Although my job as reentry coordinator is also my passion. Powell United Methodist Church had me speak at their all-in community groups. It's important for churches to figure out what the needs are in their community, and it's really important to have a local partner guiding them through the process and being able to be there to answer any questions and educate the members about the benefits of reentry and why it's important.
As I said at the beginning, Powell United Methodist Church was led into this all-in-community ministry by the events that occurred in the lives of the McDowell family. As an all-in-community team and as a congregation, we have tried to live into the very significant practice of walking alongside persons and families who are just as involved with humility. Heidi and Kevin come now to share with us what this means to them and what can be learned from their experience.
Heidi McDowell.
And I'm Kevin McDowell.
We're here to talk to you today about our journey with Powell United Methodist Church as we kind of went through Kevin's arrest and incarceration, and just how important that community became for us, more so than ever before as members of the church. So the very first thing that I want to say is that when everything first happened and we were I was overwhelmed with just the chaos of the arrest, I felt like Powell United Methodist Church gave me a place where I could feel secure and safe, that it truly was a refuge. I didn't know who I could trust or what to expect. It just was so much coming at me that I didn't know. And so first off, Powell United Methodist was a place for safety for me. The second thing I wanted to share with you is that it was then a place for me to feel not so alone, that people came up and kind of stood alongside me. I mean, really, there wasn't anything special that anybody did other than just be present. So our pastor and just a small group of people at the church just made sure to check in with me and let them know that I wasn't alone. So that was huge. And that really contributed to that sense of belonging, feeling like I had value, even though I was going through this really dramatic and tragic kind of traumatic experience, that I still mattered, and that I had a place that I belonged and where people cared, and that people were surrounding not only me but our boys as well. So it was stability and connection that was so important, that sense of belonging, and then that invitation to kind of share my story and to be vulnerable. That invitation was healing for me and gave me an opportunity to see that my story mattered, and that I could then extend that invitation to somebody else to try to make a difference as they went through something.
As the person that was incarcerated, and as you know, I like to bottom line everything. A lot of the things that Heidi said, what I keep coming back to is the love and the support of the community. Knowing that my family was being embraced by the community of Powell United Methodist Church, and they were being loved by that community, made it easier for me to feel less anxious about my own release. And I think, again, the most important takeaway from this is you feel loved and you feel supported. And I did feel loved and I felt supported, and that makes everything when you're reintegrating back into society. That's the basis of which everything else springs from. Therefore, I believe that the best practice of having people, having a community walk with you is extremely important to the mental health, in particular, of those reintegrating society.